And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alien Spaceship stream. It is titled incorrectly. It's a chill stream. I titled the stream wrong because I thought it was Friday for a second. So I'm just changing the title right here. Alright, so going there. Okay, it is not Friday. It feels like a Friday, but it's not a Friday. So, anyway, welcome everybody to the Alien Spaceship stream. It's a chill stream, not a Friday stream. I got mixed up for a moment. And you can be watching from anywhere around the country or the world, and I really appreciate every single one of you. Coming to you from the Spaceship Studios from a galaxy far, far away, and I really appreciate every single one of you. So, let's see, over here. Hello, Rebecca. It is great to see you. I hope that y'all are having a good day. And, alright, so here we are. So it will be, tomorrow will be the 4th of July, and some people may be here, some people may be not here. So we will talk about things that we will talk about tomorrow here as well. So basically, regarding the trials that are going on. And hello, Remy and Shell and Dwayne. Hello, guys. Welcome. And yeah, happy weekend to you, Remy. Okay. Have a great live. Okay, thank you, Dwayne and Sharon. I appreciate every single one of you. Nice to see everybody. All right. So yesterday we talked about the trial, the very interesting trial day at the court zoo yesterday. All right. So today I will be talking about different things regarding the Independence Day that will be tomorrow, and also different things that is going on in general. And we have a cool group of people here, so shout out to everybody. So I'm going to read a little bit of this and get into the different things. All right. So I'll start by saying I hope everybody's been having a great day today. And hello, Shecky. Good to see you. We have quite the crowd here. Now, we have, this holiday coming up, and I hope everybody has a good time with whatever they have planned with their families and with their different things, whatever people do. Well, something that I like doing is watching the Twilight Zone marathon. It's on one of the channels that has recently started, and I was watching it today while I watched the trials. And thank you, Dwayne. Yeah, please hit the like button. And yeah, so the trials, trials are very interesting today. Not like yesterday, but it was still interesting. Got to talk to some people in the chat while I was watching and doing some different things. All right, so here we go. Which, of course, tomorrow will be on an hour time in the United States. It'll be the Independence Day tomorrow. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then we will get into some of the other things I do with the gaming and different things like that as well. Kind of doing a little bit of different things. All right, so which this is going to be tomorrow, by the way, and the Independence Day is also known as 4th of July because it is called Independence Day and 4th of July simultaneously. Shout out to Bubbles. Good to see you. Welcome. And it is a federal holiday in the United States, and which commemorates the ratification of the Declaration of Independence by the Second Constitutional Congress of July 4, 1776, establishing the United States of America. And this is when the colony declared independence from the British Empire, which my father's side is from England, but I was born here. So this was from the other side, of my family. Although my mom's side's also related to England and more connected with it through my dad's side. And also the founding fathers delegates and the Second Continental Congress declared that the 13 colonies were no longer subject to the monarchy of King George III. And there's a lot of stuff with the when you like look into this with the disagreements between the both parties, and I think basically the American colonies wanted to be an independent country. Although there is some hello frog, good to see you. There was alleged negotiations that were supposed to happen, but the country wanted to break off and be its own thing regardless. And it was the 13 colonies, which is like out, which you all know this, out east, and then it expanded further out west and went farther west, and they took over the whole. I call it like a little island, which is it's kind of a big island, but the part of the United States where it's one big country. So, and as I said before yesterday, that America has different terrains and different, they have deserts and you have swamps and you have cold places and stuff like that. So it has a lot of interesting terrains to it. And then they had the Louisiana Purchase, which brings out a lot of different states, including where I am, into the United States. So it's quite interesting as the centuries went on how they're able to expand more into it. Right. And we're now united and free. So they're trying to say that the states were united and free and they're independent states, and the Congress voted to approve the independence by passing the Lee Resolution on July 2, adopted the Declaration of Independence 2 days later on July 4. And Dwayne says, we watch the Broadway musical Hamilton every third July night on Disney Plus. It's great and the reason why we have Independence Day. Yes, that is very true. That is very cool. Sounds like I've not seen the play, but I've heard of it and I've seen like clips of it. So it's very cool that you'll watch that. And basically, way this is celebrated is Independence Day is commonly associated with fireworks parades and barbecues and carnivals, fairs and picnics and concerts and baseball games and family reunions and political speeches. So there's just like with the other holidays, like with Halloween and Christmas and these different holidays, there's a festivals, because back in the times in the past, people would have festivals about different situations. They would have festivals about holidays and religious celebrations, and then over here they continue to have it now with the different activities that they do. And there's a lot of fireworks now, and people, fireworks are very beautiful to see. Now, the animals do not like fireworks, though. So you have a lot of like cats and dogs and different creatures that they don't like the fireworks, but they still are nice to look at, and a lot of people are excited to do them. And in the history of ceremonies, in addition to the various other public and private events celebrating the history of the government traditions of the United States, Independence Day, and National Day of the United States. Yes, Shell, absolutely. And we have, I agree. And I think it is good to have in the country to have unity of the different groups and different people, united together, because we all have diverse, opinions, and America's a melting pot of different cultures mixed together. So like when one thing that I love about the trials is that I watch is I like to see all these different people, from other countries especially, that will come and to our streams over there and watch the civil system take place. A lot of times there's people that people support and people are against, like someone's a evil criminal. Some people may be a little bit misunderstood, and so you have a diverse group of opinions. But one thing that I love seeing is all the different religions and people of different backgrounds coming together. That's what I like, because I do think that there is a lot of division that occurs, but it's good to have people coming together in a common cause. Now, in the other countries, I get told all the time this. In other countries, they don't have people that have trials televised like we do over here, and they watch ours, and people in France, UK, all over. I'd say the Western Europe. There's people from Eastern Europe that I sometimes see, but I mostly see people from Western Europe. And yeah, they all say that over there, their countries don't allow that. So it would be nice for countries to adapt, trials and stuff. And that is just an example of the system. Like, say over in like communist China, you'll have like a 99% guilty rating, but America with the jurors and stuff, there's more of a chance where people can have they say a fair trial. People don't always agree. I don't always agree with verdicts and stuff, but still, it's how the system works. Right. So it is good to have the country respected abroad like that. And so we're just talking about a little background about this, where what happened in this situation. So during the American Revolution, the legal separation of 13 colonies from Great Britain in 1776 actually occurred on July 2, when the Second Constitutional Congress voted to approve the Resolution of Independence. Yes, Dwayne, we respect, that is true, we respect all political opinions if we disagree with them or not, and I believe that is how our country's set up, to have a diverse opinions on things. And those that have like peaceful discussions and debates about them, that is always nice to see too, because we all see things differently, and we're not like a bunch of cogs in a machine where we all think the same. We all could see things differently and see different perspectives, and I think that is a great sign of free will, and we all see things through different lenses. Yeah, so I that's what the great thing about the country. You can believe what you want to do, believe what you want, and you can have the politics you want. That is good to have. Like, there is even a certain point, like back like 100 years ago, where they had these utopian societies come up, and America allowed that to happen, where people came in little communes and stuff, and they had their own little utopias, and America allows that. Now, other countries, like say like in Europe, may not allow people to do stuff like that, but America lets people do that. So I think that is good, that what America does. But respects to other countries too. Shout out to the other countries, and America has things that are unique about it that is great to see. And so it actually happened on July 2nd. I didn't know that. So it happened yesterday, and as I said, interesting. Yesterday was a big court day. Hold on. Across the board, with the Diddy trial and then the Koberger trial, it was kind of like a party yesterday all over the country. So interesting. Yesterday was the day that the original Independence Day actually happened. And also, yeah, and Frog, sometimes people lurk. Like, they may not always be commenting, but some people lurk in the chat. Like, I think everybody gets along here pretty well. Thank you, Shecky. Thank you. So, especially when you don't have any kind of technology back then, because it's not like now. You get things instantaneously. So, like, through Facebook, people were able to organize their activism and stuff, and people in different countries are able to connect, and we're able to connect with YouTube. I say YouTube is the current, and other social media platforms too, like Instagram and TikTok and stuff. Those, I think, are the most modernized of the trending apps at the moment, especially with YouTube. And then we have all these other situations that occur where on YouTube live streams people could talk in like social media. So I think it's pretty cool that people do that. Now, back in this time period, during the time of Independence Day. Exactly. Correct, Remy. Yes. And as I said, a lot of the people that view the streams are lurkers. And with the I get like a lot of these streams get over 100 views, so there, a lot of people are just lurking, just looking at the chat, just chilling and watching this being talked about. Yeah, it doesn't mean somebody's not here, and but when we were in that time period in the past, people didn't have the technology like we do now, like the social media we have now. So information was spread much slower. It was spread quickly but slow. Especially when you have 13 colonies, it's like it doesn't get there overnight. Now they had pigeons and stuff that you could like say, pigeon go over here. But I think it's quite incredible how they're able to have pigeons to go fly around and going here and there with the different pigeons, able to transfer information. So as I said, that was very incredible. They did this, and that's why I was on July 2nd. But on the 4th, because I said it just takes a couple of days to get some stuff done back then. So I guess if they had the technology we had now, it would have been July 2nd or earlier. So as it's so cool now, like the entire country could get information in a snap of a finger, right in an instant, and it's much bigger than it ever was like in its past. So it's quite incredible with the global technical advancements are quite fascinating. All right. The Resolution of Independence that had proposed in June by Richard Henry Lee of Virginia, declaring the United States of independence from Great Britain's rule. After the voting for independence, Congress turned its attention to the Declaration of Independence, a statement explaining this decision, which had been prepared by the Committee of Five, which asked Thomas Jefferson to author its first draft. Yeah, Thomas Jefferson, founding fathers, they were very intelligent and they had a lot of interesting quotes and stuff. Like I remember there's one thing that they were saying is that like good company, that no company is better than bad company. And it's quite interesting, like when you look at like what their philosophy was, and they studied other countries and other religions and different throughout history to kind of like piece together what would work best for this country. Like you have like the Senate. The Senate was something that was from Rome, and also Greece and Rome. Those different countries, they had these types of governments, the type of buildings that we have. It all originated from that. Thank you, Remy, for the 4th of July wishes to us. Appreciate you very much. And Dwayne said, "Okay, me and Sharon have to go back to my grandboys. Shout out to your grandboys, very sweet kids. Have a great Eve, everyone. Alien Spaceship." Sharon says hello. Well, hello to you, Sharon, and I hope you all have a splendid 4th of July celebration, and thank you all for the continuous support and encouragement. All right. Yeah, very nice of you, Remy. Thank you. To say to Dwayne, he's very cool people. Him and Sharon have supported me for quite a while now and been in the chat. I always appreciate when we see them here. While Jefferson consulted exclusively with other 4 members of the Committee of Five, he largely wrote the Declaration of Independence in isolation over 17 days before June 11, 1776 and June 28, 1776. From the second floor, he was renting in 3-story private home at 700 Market Street. All right, Shell. Understood. And 5, he largely wrote the Declaration of Independence in isolation over 17 days by June 11, 1776, June 28, 1776. From the second floor, he was renting. Yeah. Happy 4th of July, Shell. That will be tomorrow. Thank you for hanging out with us for a little bit. So it looks like it was 17 days, June 11 to June 28. That's interesting. So it was also back in June as well. They had some of the stuff going on. Now, known as Declaration House and within walking distance of Independence Hall. So that is cool with Independence Hall. Very cool. And Congress debated and revised the wording of the Declaration, removing Jefferson's vigorous dedication of George III for importing the slave trade, finally approving it 2 days later after on July 4, a day earlier, and John Adams wrote to his wife Abigail. The second day, July 1776, will be the most memorable epoch in history of America. I am apt to believe that it will be celebrated by succeeding generations in the great anniversary festival. It ought to be commemorated as a day of deliverance by the solemn acts devotion of God Almighty. It ought to be solemnized with the pomp parade, with shows, games, sports, and guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end to the continent to the other, from time forward forevermore. And that came true, So these people, before they saw it, before the war was won, that they saw that this would happen. So I think that with anything, it is to have faith, and hope is very important. So when people have faith and hope and they really believe in what they're doing, no matter what failures occur, eventually success will happen. So I think that is a great story of hope indeed. And Adams' prediction was off by 2 days from the onset of the Americans. Celebrated independence on July 4. The date showed that much publicized Declaration of Independence rather than in July 2. The date Resolution of Independence was approved in closed session of Congress. Historians have long disputed whether members of Congress signed Declaration of Independence on July 4, even though Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin all later wrote they had signed on that day. Most historians have concluded that the Declaration was signed nearly a month after its adoption on August 2, 1776, not on July 4, commonly believed. Alright, Frog, please don't curse at anybody here, and just focus on the stream, alright? I'm not going to be tolerating that, here, because you don't need to call people names, just enjoy the conversation on the Independence Day stuff. Alright. Wayne says, we always pop in and say hello and hit the like button for Alien every time we get notified. Sharon calls him our internet grandson. Yes. I am glad to have my internet grandparents, Dwayne, you both. I really appreciate that very much. It is so cool about networking with different people on the platform and talking and conversing with each other. I really think it's quite awesome to see that. By remarkable coincidence, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, the only two the signatures of the Declaration of Independence, later to serve as presidents of the United States, both passed away on the same day, July 4, 1826, which was the 50th anniversary of the Declaration. Although not signatory of the Declaration of Independence, James Monroe, another founding father, was elected president, also passed away on July 4, 1831, making him the third president who passed away on the anniversary of independence. The only U.S. president to have been born on Independence Day was Calvin Coolidge, who was born on July 4, 1872. Observance. On 1777, the 13 gunshots were fired in a salute once morning and once again in the evening. Fell on July 4, Bristol, Rhode Island. An article and the July 1777. Now, 777 is known as a number of God in some schools of thought. And, like, they cite the. And that is a very interesting year. I like to see 777. It's one of my favorite number combinations. And this issue is in the Virginia Gazette, noted for celebration of Philadelphia in a manner of modern American would find familiar. An official dinner for the Continental Congress toast, 13 gun salute speeches, prayers, music, parades, troop reviews, and fireworks, ships port decked with red, white, and blue and bunting. In 1778, from the headquarters at Ross Hall, near the New Brunswick, New Jersey, General George Washington, marked with July 4, with a double ration of rum for his soldiers and artillery, did the salute across the Atlantic Ocean. So basically, you have a situation where they have rum. Now, rum has been quite used a lot with the concept of independence, with of pirates. Like, a lot of pirates were known to have rum. That's something that you see a lot in movies. So rum and lime, like they call my kid in England the limeys, because the lime helped them with getting scurvy, because scurvy was a problem back then when they're on the sea. So it's interesting that rum's being talked about in this context. It's not something you usually would associate with this, but it's quite interesting. Ambassador John Adams and Benjamin Franklin had dinner for their fellow Americans in Paris, France. Yeah, I've seen some movies where, like, yeah, Benjamin Franklin would go to these France and these different countries as a diplomat for the United States in its earlier days. And I think it was, like, there was a movie where Benjamin Franklin didn't know French. I don't know if that's really true or not. If that's historically accurate. And the people at the time, everybody knew French and that culture at that time, like in Europe. It was like a language that people talked like in business, kind of like now. English is the language that people know now everywhere that people talk. It used to be French, and in other languages that throughout time it would switch back and forth. I'm sure at one time it was Spanish, one time it was French, in my opinion, but certainly it was French at one time. So that was quite interesting. And you also saw King George III in person during the diplomatic relation restoration with the colonies. So the fellow Americans in Paris, France. In 1779, July 4 fell on Sunday. The holiday was celebrated on Monday, July 5. In 1781, Massachusetts General Court became the first state legislature to recognize July 4 as the state celebration. All right, because you basically, like, when we people celebrate the holidays, things like that, you have a situation where, like, the actual day it's celebrated may not have been the time it actually happened, but it is so cool that in 1781 it was the 4th of July that was acknowledged as the celebration itself. So I think it is good to see that over time it stayed at that date all the way to the modern day, because a lot of times things kind of might get switched around for various reasons. But I've learned later that, now I went to a private school, so we didn't really celebrate public holidays, but when I'm with the trial chat, oh, hello Abby, it is great to see you. Welcome to the chat. So we had a situation where, oh, hello Moki, it's wonderful to see you here. I hope everybody is having a good evening, and tomorrow will be July 4th, and now what I'm doing is we're talking about the 4th of July history things about it. So I hope all of you in our country have a great day tomorrow with that. And the court ended today, and as I said, the trials are quite interesting and interesting commentary. It's pretty much like a fun day in chat. And you had so with the federal holidays, you like say there's a holiday that's gonna be on a weekend, they'll take the Monday off. And when you take that's what they do. I didn't experience that because I never went to a public school where they went by the public holidays. But when I watched the trial chat stuff, that's when I really started learning about how these holidays function. Like they take off on, certain days that they usually wouldn't take off, like at a private school. So that was quite interesting. In 1781, the Massachusetts General Court became the first state legislature to recognize July 4 as a state celebration. In 1783, Salem, North Carolina held a celebration with the changing music program assembled, and Johann Frederick Peter enlisted the Psalm of Joy. The town claims to be the first public July event, as it was carefully documented by the Moravian Church, and there are no government records of any early celebrations. In 1870, the U.S. Congress made Independence Day as an unpaid holiday for federal employees. In 1938, Congress changed Independence Day to a paid federal holiday. And a caricature of America is Uncle Sam. So I remember for one time at Six Flags, the Six Flags before the hurricane hit, it was, Halloween. People wore costumes there, and it looked like it was like a medieval festival or something like that. It was like a masquerade, and I don't know, when I was a kid, I wore costumes for no reason, and I used to wear the Uncle Sam costume. That was funny, and I didn't grow a beard just yet, but I was able to get a Timu one to wear. I don't even know if I wore a Timu beard. I think I just was a little alien with a hat on, and it was quite fun. So I always thought the character was interesting, and it was used in war propaganda where they'll say like Uncle Sam wants you to join the U.S. Army. Or especially in the Vietnam War and World War II, stuff like that. So it crack up. Yeah. And this is an example of one of those. Let's see, will it do it? Let's connect this. All right, so we're gonna take me and put me out of the way. All right, so you have this is a caricature of it. You have children celebrating 4th of July in 1902. So you had Uncle Sam and some angel, and so he was used a lot in different posters and stuff. Now we're gonna get to the customs about it. Yeah, thank you, Shecky. Yeah, so I used to wear costumes for no reason, and I used to back then we talk about in the channel about how technology affects children. And I didn't have any kind of video games and stuff when I was very little, but I had costumes and things like that. And I wore the Spider-Man costume. And I have the mask, maybe not right there, but I still have the mask from when I was little. It does not fit me anymore. It wouldn't even barely go in my head. But I remember I used to, and I got authentic Spider-Man gloves, and I got the little machine that shoots out spider webs. I remember when we were first trying to get it to work, I kept on pressing it, and it just wouldn't really work. And then I did it a little bit harder, and I sprayed it everywhere. So when I sprayed it everywhere, I remember Mary Toodles was okay, but the glasses were covered in spiderweb stuff. I was just like, so the Spider-Man costume, I used to wear it, and sometimes the mailman would come to the door, and he said, "Oh look, it's Spider-Man," and yeah, so I used to dress up for no reason, and so Uncle Sam was one of the costumes that I wore, and at the Six Flags, they had people that were dressed up as like monsters and stuff from movies, and I thought it was pretty cool, but I was also extremely scared for some reason, like at the same time, so I didn't like really know what to think of it, and but it was kind of like interesting. Remember this like giant monster was waving at me. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to think of this. So yeah, but I was all right. But at first I was like, whoa, I didn't really know what was going on. I was a little bit surprised. I didn't know that was going to be part of the plan. I was like, oh, when I'm older, I'll enjoy it better. But of course, an apocalypse happened, so I didn't get to experience that. But still, it was good to experience when I was able to experience it. And Independence Day was marked a national holiday. When something's marked a national holiday, they're able to do a special thing where federal businesses get off work and stuff like that. And Abby says Six Flags, rest in peace, but reminds me of our Hallow weekends out here at Cedar Point. Only thing Ohio is good for. Oh, I'm glad that y'all have something going for y'all up there. That sounds like it's something very fun. You know, I think that Halloween's one of my favorite seasons. I like the fall, and like my tree changes colors. So the tree has to do with what we're talking about. So I'd say before they declared independence, they, which were of course were all in that region of the United States during the time of the Revolution. So the tree in my yard is cousins with the trees that were in the crossfires of the revolution that was happening in the United States. Because the type of tree that I have is a little bit different than the other trees that are around here. We have beautiful trees here. A lot of them are cypress trees or trees from the south or swampy type trees. And they just turn brown or like a rust color and they just fall off. So with that, tree, what they will do is people have this superstition that for some reason with our weather here, trees don't change to different colors. Now, I have completely debunked it with the tree in my yard. So, and there's all these trees all over the place. It's a tree that was from China originally. All right, so it was from China originally. And the colonists imported the tree as an ornamental tree because they wanted a tree because it looked cool and to just kind of give America some other trees. And I knew it had to be from somewhere else because it just didn't look like it was from here. And as I said, in the fall, it changes from yellow and red and orange and also purple. It turns like a purplish red color. And I have all the pictures and stuff to prove what I'm saying. Because people always say that the trees don't do that here. I'm like, my tree does. So it's not about the weather, but it's a type of tree you have. So I like the fall tree and stuff. It's good for Halloween type weather. But yes, Six Flags was fun to go to, especially for holidays and things like that. Like 4th of July, it was very nice. And the holidays. So non-essential federal institutions, such as the Postal Service and federal courts, are closed on that day. While the legal holiday remains July 4, that date happens to be on a Saturday or Sunday, the federal government's employees will instead take the day off on the adjacent Friday or Monday, respectively. Other non-essential that are non-government related may also be closed on that day. That's why the trial is closed, because it's a federal group. That's why we're off on the trial group is off on the different federal days. Families often celebrate Independence Day by hosting or attending a picnic or barbecue. Many take advantage of the day, and some years a long weekend gathering with family members, friends, and parades are often attended in many towns and cities, some being hours long with many floats and participants. Parades are often held in the mid late morning before get togethers, with longer spectacles sometimes extending into the early afternoon. Fireworks displayed typically occur in the evening at such places as parks, harbors of boats, sporting venues, fairgrounds, and public shorelines are two squares. Decorations, streamers, balloons, and clothing are generally colored red, white, and blue, the colors of the American flag, and many homes and businesses will decorate their properties with the miniature American flags. Now, basically, the origins of the American flag is, of course, from England, and we both have the red, white, and blue flag. Now, the flags of, France, many countries in the West, including, hello, Greg, good to see you, buddy. We're talking about Independence Day and how our country was founded, and some context about it, some stuff from my own experience, and other things adjacent to that too. And Gregatron, I appreciate you. I'm glad that you're hanging out and came to tell us hello. So, so many countries, including Russia. Oh, Greg, I didn't know he was going to do that. I don't know what is going on with the bill, but hopefully it is good. And I don't know anything about it, but thank you for the information. So, the night. Okay, so let's talk about the night before 4th of July was once a focal point. Now, I will say the origins of the American flag. So, Russia's flag is like ours. Russia's flag is like ours. It's red, white, and blue. Now, during the age of communism, when they had a revolution that was a... Oh, no tax on tips. Oh, okay. Okay. Hopefully that helps out the people that are, working those jobs. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Abby, him and Elon fighting is funny. Yeah. And we did a stream about that where we were reviewing. So yeah, Miranda was telling me about the incident, and I went and we talked about it. And yeah, yeah, Elon and Trump were going back and forth, and he was saying he was on the Epstein list and stuff like that. And it's like, I said, I've not seen the Epstein list. I don't know who is on it, who isn't on it. But basically, it's like he waited until he got angry at him to release information, and then, yeah, low-key petty. Yeah. Especially like when the debates happened with him and Biden the first time in 2020. Those two were like having a divorce. Like, it was... It's quite funny to see these politicians these days have these fights. Now, like Romney and Obama, those two were like real, like respectful each other, and they're like gentlemen having tea. And then you got like Obama, not Obama, but yeah, Biden, and you have what's his name, Trump, and they were going. Abby, yeah, exactly, Abby, and they were like going. They're like two chickens fighting. They're like, or two possums fighting each other. So like sometimes possums, and they're married possums. Possums in relationships will get in fights, and they'll chase each other around, and that's what they were doing. So the politics in America, people get angry on both sides, but it's like, hey, it's funny to watch. It's funny to watch. I get so triggered. So yeah, I mean the debates are quite hilarious, and the thing with Trump and Elon, quite petty, indeed. And I think it's good for other countries to see the country united, and that's why I say that I like the way when we had the trial chats. There's people of different religions, people of different political views, all united together on a common cause, and that just blew my mind completely. That's why I love that group of people so much. I love all the other groups on YouTube that I'm on too, but yet that just you're gonna put all your differences aside for a common cause, the American legal system. That is something so cool. But yeah, it is very funny to watch them fight. And Epstein, Elon crashed out. Yeah, so Elon kept his mouth shut until Trump did something he didn't like, and then it's like he had his kid around him all that time. I mean, bro, like there could have been better judgment on that end. So then on Twitter, X, Elon apologized and for what he did, and yeah, it's funny. It's funny to see the fightings, and Trump is saying that he doesn't want his cars and stuff that he has, his car company, to have problems because of some bills he passed. Yeah, it is a really funny clown show indeed. It's a funny clown show, and then the American flag was also based off the East India Trading Company. So that's from the Pirates of the Caribbean game. I play all the time on this channel, and we talk about Pirates of the Caribbean all the time. So it had to do with the East India Company. So you notice like Australia and all these different countries have like the Union Jack in the corner. The American flag was originally the Union Jack in the corner. But they replaced it with the stars represent the states. But guess what? It was from George Washington's coat of arms. And actually George Washington was very upset and he wanted it to be the Union Jack. But they insisted it would be of the American flag, the stars on it. So no, he wanted it's called the Grand Old Union flag. But that flag's still used sometimes in some places. But yeah, that flag was very cherished by George Washington because they were not against Britain at all. They just wanted to be their own independent country. Like the Communist Revolution, which eventually the communists opposed us, they were something different than like our revolution. But yeah, they basically, like, our side won't be independent of a country, not go and delete and like genocide everybody. And that although actually Karl Marx, he actually liked America very much and said we were the most progressive country on earth and that he supported us going farther west. Now, he was the one that founded the idea of communism and socialism, but he believed in gun rights and stuff like that. I believe, he kind of like thought of a society where there was no government and there's like this collectivist like utopia. Now, people later interpreted his idea in different ways and they did a lot of like genocide and stuff with it, because if you have a country that's a utopia, it's difficult to get everybody to agree on that, so you have to have an authoritarian government to keep it in check. But when you have an authoritarian government to keep it in check, then you get corruption and totalitarianism, and you just go backwards. So, but no, the philosophers, that they liked the American country and what they were doing. But basically, so far, this idea has worked and we're still here. And people will interpret these different ideologies differently and do their different things. That's why with all kinds of things, people interpret ideologies or beliefs in a different way. And some people do something way off course, or some people do it right, some people don't. So humans have all kinds of different ways of doing things differently. But now, at the same time, with corruption humans have, it could go into a bad direction. So may we all be guided to do righteous work. Yeah, so it originated from the East India Company, and they just changed it to the stars. East India Company was in India, and they also were in the Caribbean, and they did trade with the different countries all over the world. And it was a corporation, and it had a monopoly, and was extremely powerful. Kind of like Amazon, I'd say, is the best comparison. It was like the tech giants, too, of its time. And people bought stock in it. And then it, was dissolved at some point. But America's flag was based from that sort of in a way. And also, since it was a colony of England, it was the Union Jack, type flag. And they did have America define gold and silver and precious metals and things like that. Like, say, like Pocahontas, that movie is a, example of, although they show things that were unfortunate that some people thought of the people that were here originally, which was, shout out to the natives that were here and that are still here, but they were trying to find their gold and silver and stuff, and they show the movie where you have the two different dynamics of the different ways they view the natives here. But yeah, shout out to the natives, though, the indigenous people in the Americas. They helped keep the Americans alive, and unfortunately, they weren't always treated the best. But shout out to them; they're cool people. And the night before the 4th was once the focal point of celebrations, marked in raucous gatherings, often incorporating bonfires in their highlights. In New England, towns competed to build towering pyramids assembled from barrels and casks. They were lit at nightfall to usher in the celebration. The highest ever were Salem, Massachusetts, with pyramids composed as many as 40 tiers of barrels. These made some of the tallest bonfires ever recorded. The customs flourished in the 19th and 20th century and is still practiced in some New England and northeastern towns. Now, the interesting thing about the bonfires and stuff, it's interesting how they celebrated back then without the type of technology we have now, and people just being outside and doing an activity and not just sitting all day on an iPad. So it was nice that people back then were able to, do stuff like that in that day. Independence Day fireworks are often accompanied by patriotic songs such as the Star Spangled Banner, the American National Anthem, Columbia Gem of the Ocean, God Bless America, America the Beautiful, Country 'Tis of the Land Is Your Land, Stars and Stripes Forever, Yankee Doodle, God Bless USA, and Dixie, the Southern States, because Dixie's the Southern anthem of for the country that was broke away from the United States. Lift every voice and sing, and occasionally, but has nominally fallen out of favor, Hail Columbia. Some of the lyrics recall images of Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. And in the War of 1812, you had people that were trying to take the country. It's when Britain was trying to come back because, King George III, he really liked America. And he thought it was a fascinating land with exotic flowers and exotic plants and trees and stuff like that and different terrains. There's a movie about it, and he was ranting about what a beautiful country America is, and he wishes he had it in his empire. So he had this disagreement between the founding fathers and the king. He wanted the country to be, the best outcome would be if it's part of the British Empire, and they thought it would be best if it was independent. And I was reading something that he was going to meet the demands of the colonies, but they just wanted to be independent. So, contrary to what people would think, yeah, he wanted to meet their demands because he wanted to keep them inside in the empire. And I think it's good that we are our own country, and I think it was fine that it was that way. And so he liked the country a lot, but, and he was kind of crazy. Allegedly, he seems that he had some sickness, and he was called Mad King George. So the people in England, he was kind of going crazy everywhere. And he then started, they had to strap him. This was from a movie, but it may be historically accurate or not. It might be historically accurate. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. They had to strap him to a chair, and the dude was losing his mind. And yeah, so I think it was his best we broke away from it and be our own thing. Fireworks shows are held in many states, and many fireworks are solid for personal use as alternative to public shows. Safety concerns have led some states to ban fireworks or limit sizes and types allowed. In addition, local and regional conditions may dictate whether the sale or use of fireworks in the area will be allowed. For example, the global supply chain crisis following the COVID-19 pandemic forced cancellations or shows. Some local regional firework sales are limited or prohibited because of dry weather or other specific concerns. One occasions that the public may be prohibited from the purchasing or discouraging fireworks, but professional displays such as those at sporting events and may still take place. A salute of the one pew pew for each state, one gun for each state. United States called this Salute of the Union. Is fired on Independence Day at noon at any capable military base. On in New York City has the largest firework display in the country, sponsored by Macy's, with more than 22 tons of pyrotechnics exploded in 2009. In general, it holds a display of the East River. Other major displays are Seattle, Lake Union, and San Diego over Mission Bay. In Boston, the Charles River, and Philadelphia over. It is low sound? Okay. Thanks for letting me know that. I will just. May move this closer to me. Alright, I moved it closer. Hopefully that helps. And. Hello, Toby. We are talking about. Yeah, Elon's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, and hello, Toby. It's good to see you. Welcome. And I am closer now to the microphones. Hopefully, I'm more visible. Abby said, "I've seen people's hands after holding a firework that went off. I would never handle one, but like watching them." And Toby says, "It's okay for me." Oh, okay. It's okay for Abby. All right. All right. So, thanks for the feedback, everybody. Shout out to Toby. Cool people. Yeah. So basically, with fireworks, there is an incident that happened a couple of decades ago. Could have been even longer than that. There was a police officer setting fireworks, and the guy blew his hand off. Yes. So fireworks can be very dangerous. And as I said, the animals don't like the fireworks. They get scared. Scared. But basically, what they did was, with these fireworks, they're very nice to see, but the animals don't like, to, have that happen. Now, I wonder, like, fireworks were invented in China. And what this does is, with the fireworks, is that they will. Probably is like when the battle was happening for independence. They had the. It'd be like fireworks with all the bombs and cannons going off and guns. It was quite the same thing. Yeah. And during the annual Windsor-Detroit International Firearm Festival, Michigan hosts one of the largest firework displays in North America over the Detroit River to celebrate Independence Day in conjunction with Windsor's Ontario celebration and Canada Day. And Toby says, "I love watching fireworks, but they're hard on the critters. I tell my dogs that it's just TV, and they believe me." Well, very good. I am glad that they accept that, because it's good for them. Okay, Shecky, understood. Thank you for hanging out with us for a little bit. All right. And Abby says, fireworks are hella dangerous. They even made an appearance in the Final Destination. Scared. Oh, yeah. They're very dangerous. Very dangerous indeed. And basically, with the dangers of fireworks, I mean, a lot of times in riots and protests that I've seen, they will use fireworks, and there will be to try to, as a way, like a weapon, a lot of times. And when you have when you have stuff like that happen, people get hurt really badly, unfortunately. So I think that it's very good to see all that. Like, well, the fireworks are good to see. They're really beautiful to watch, but it's very dangerous. Toby says we have problems with fireworks setting off brush fires that turn into wildfires. Kid tossed fireworks into Columbia Gorge and it burned for weeks. Oh no. Yeah, especially if people have problems with fireworks, if they're going to cause a wildfire. Yeah, brush fires are awful, dude. I definitely agree. It's absolutely a triggering, very, very triggering. Abby says the brush fires are so awful, people can be so careless. Exactly. I mean, people will do things and they're not being considerate about other people or themselves, and they do things that they'll regret later. Yeah, because people are doing fireworks, especially in regions where you're not supposed to have a no burn. There's a no burn policy. Like there is a drought where I am at one point, and you couldn't burn anything. So outside. So if you're starting a fire, of some kind or a firework, it's going to cause the whole thing, a whole place to burn to the ground. It's also going to, the brush fires will burn for a long time. Yeah. So hopefully people can wake up and not do that, but there's so many inconsiderate people out there. All right, so notable celebrations. Held since 1785, the Bristol 4th of July Parade in Bristol, Rhode Island, is the oldest continuous Independence Day celebration in the United States. Since 1868, Seward, Nebraska has held a celebration on the same town square in 1979. Seward was designated the America's official 4th of July city, small town, USA by resolution of Congress. Seward has also been proclaimed the Nebraska official 4th of July by the Governor J. James Exon in proclamation. Seward is a town of 6,000 but swells to 40,000 plus during the July celebrations. Since 1912, the Rebuild Society, a Danish American friendship organization, has held July 4 weekend festival that serves as the homecoming Danish American Rebuild Hills of Denmark. Since 1959, the International Freedom Festival is jointly held in Detroit, Michigan, and Windsor, Ontario during the last week of June each year as mutual celebration of Independence Day and Canada Day on July 1. It culminates in large firework displays over the Detroit River since 1976 in famous Macy's 4th of July firework display. Toby says Boston used to do a nice fireworks celebration over Charles River each year. PBS carried it along with an orchestral presentation. They performed the. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. That over the 1812 overture with real canon. That's very cool. I've heard that piece before. It's a very good piece. This way, it has been held annually in New York City, usually over the East River and the Hudson River. Macy's did not host the event in 1986, as the year's fireworks show was held as part of the Liberty Weekend, marking the restoration in the centenary of the Statue of Liberty. The fireworks display has been televised nationwide on NBC and locally on WNBC TV since 2000. The Boston Pops Orchestra has hosted a music fireworks show over Charles River Esplanade called the Boston Pops Fireworks Spectacular. Annually, since 1974, cannons are traditionally fired during the 1812 overture. The event was broadcast nationally from 1991 until 2002 on A&E, and since by 2002, the CBS and Boston station. NWBZ TV was broadcast the entire event locally, and from the 2002 through 2012, CBS broadcasts the final hour of the concert nationally in prime time. The national broadcast was the beginning of the 2013, which Pop's exclusive producer, David Mugar, believed the result was decreasing viewership caused by NBC's Encore. Hello, Tom Farrell. It is great to see you, buddy. And Abby says, having a messed up night, so good night. I love you guys, and happy early 4th of July. Thank you, Abby, for that. And thank you for hanging out with us. Yeah, hello, Tom Farrow. Shout out to you. All right. The Philippines celebrates. Yes, good night to you, Abby. Appreciate the kind wishes of our early 4th of July wishes, yes. Let's see. Okay. All right. We'll put our little heart here. The Philippines celebrates July 4 as Republic Day to commemorate the day in 1946 when it ceased to be a U.S. territory. And the United States officially recognized the Philippine independence. July 4 was internationally chosen by the United States because it corresponds to Independence Day, and this day was observed in the Philippines as Independence Day until 1962. In 1964, the name of July 4 holiday was changed to Republic Day. So other countries seem to have their own celebrations. Well, not an Independence Day celebration by any means. The cities of Taurus, Rivers, and Quebec, Canada celebrations, its founding ever July 4 have been founded in July 4, 1634. And the Taurus River was also the site of the final battle of the American Revolutionary War that has fought on Quebec soil in June 1776 in the hands of the British. Defeated the hands of the British, and Continental Army retreated on Fort St. Jean in Quebec. In New York, before predominantly ceasing the invasion of Quebec in 1776. Toby says Independence Day to me doesn't mean July 4. It means the movie with Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum that I've probably seen 20 times. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And basically it means something different to everybody, and that is, that's fine. That was funny, Toby. And in English, the city of Gloucester, its cathedral rang bells in 2019, and in 2020, the anthem, the Star Single Banner, every July 4, its links to the anthem commemorating its status as its birthplace of John Stanford Smith, who composed the tune at the base. All right, so that is about July 4th, and I'm curious with the origin of the fireworks. Not all aliens are good aliens. There are some baddies out there. That is true, Toby. That is true. There are some baddies out there. Scared. Let's fireworks, and we're gonna go to here. All right. All right. I am quite curious about fireworks and their origins. We're going to dive into this because we could see some images of these fireworks. Right here, you can see it in Sydney. That's in Paris. And that's Taipei. Taipei. Now, these are just some different places of fireworks. Yeah. All right. Yeah, most fireworks are good. The animals don't like them too much, but they are good, and also veterans too. I'd say probably veterans also. Fireworks are a low explosive pyrotechnic devices used for aesthetic entertainment purposes. They are most commonly used in fireworks display, are called fireworks show of pyrotechnics, combining a large number of devices in an outdoor setting. Such displays are the focal point of many cultural and religious celebrations, though through mismanagement and could lead to firework accidents. Fireworks take many forms to produce four primary effects: noise, light, smoke, and floating materials. They may be designed to burn with the colored flames and sparks red, including red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and silver. I've seen gold also. Are generally classified by where they perform either ground or aerial fireworks, may have their own propulsion to be shot into the air by a motor, the aerial shell. Most fireworks consists of paper and pasteboard tube or casing filled with the combustible material, often to the stars. I don't know exactly what this is. Let's see. Oh, the pellets. So they have pellets inside of them that cause this effect. A number of these tubes or cases may be combined so as to make it when the kindled a great variety of sparkling shapes, often variously colored. A skyrocket is a common form of firework, although the first skyrockets were used in warfare. The shells, however, and the backbone of today's commercial aerial display, and a smaller version of the consumer used to known as festival ball in the United States. Toby says, I think that the movie, yeah, either love or hate it. I absolutely adore it, but I even like the sequel, which is extremely seems to hate. Humans are pulling together to fight aliens gives me hope. And Toby, that's why I love watching the trials, because I see people of all kinds of different backgrounds united together with the trials, if it's someone being guilty or innocent. So that is something that the only thing I've seen in real life that could be resemble that is when I see the trial chat, because there's all kinds of different people there. And I absolutely love the Will Smith Independence Day movies. Good times. New one was Korea, in my opinion. Oh, okay. Yeah. I've seen parts of the new one, but not the full thing. But I've seen parts of it. Fireworks were originally invented in China. In China. China. China remains the largest manufacturer and exporter of the fireworks in the world. You know, when I was a kid, I used to like to collect fireworks. And when I would collect fireworks, they would have like Chinese symbols and stuff on them, so I figured they're from China or Japan. They look more like a Chinese to me. I'm hearing fireworks right now. Scared. Silent fireworks. Silent fireworks displays are becoming popular due to concerns that noise effects traumatize pets, wildlife, and some humans, like people with PTSD and stuff like that. However, these are not a new type of firework, and they are not completely silent. Silent firework displays reflects to displays which simply exclude large, spectacular, noisy fireworks and make greater use of smaller, quieter devices. Toby says the new one is same as the old, but without Will Smith, stock character, stock situations, but they're my favorite situations, and I love Brent Spin Low spread spinner. Oh, okay. That's cool. Toby says, I agree. The trials bring all sorts of people together in new ways. Always interesting to see how a group mind thinks. Yes, and I like the collectivist way of thinking and how we all can like come together as one thing in one mind to think of something, because all those minds are powerful working together. So, and we're all friends, class, race, religion, nothing matters, and we're all like one collectivist thing. So it's great to see that type of system enacted in that chat. And I love it. I tell you that they won my heart with that one, definitely. And I'm glad I went there. I love all the other channels that I watch too, but I'm just very moved by that site. Tom says 1 year I looked out and guys were lighting bottle rockets in the park. Oh lord. One fell and skated across the ground, or skated across the road into someone's garage and burned it to the ground. Oh my goodness gracious. Lord. That is insane, dude. That is like the worst possible scenario that could happen. A bottle rocket is dangerous already, but you're going to also go and do that, and you could burn someone's house down. I mean, that's terrible, man. Absolutely terrible. And hopefully, people's houses can stay safe from getting something like that from happening. Yeah, that's just terrible. All right, some of the history about fireworks. Alcohol was involved, of course. I mean, that's not good. If people drink a little bit here and there, it's okay. But people are drinking irresponsibly and doing that, you're gonna have a recipe for disaster. That's just terrible. Toby says, "That's my biggest fear living in the city. Idiots with bottle rockets in close neighborhoods, things land on the roof, light a house on fire, and neighborhoods burn." Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like a reasonable fear to have, definitely. All right, some of the history background of fireworks is the earliest fireworks came from China during the Song Dynasty, 960 to 1279. Fireworks were used to accompany many festivals in China. Pro technicians were respected for their knowledge of complex techniques in creating fireworks and mounting firework displays. During the Han Dynasty, 202 BC to 222 AD, people threw bamboo stems into fire to produce an explosion which a loud sound with a loud sound. So throwing a bamboo stems in a fire produce an explosion with a loud sound. In later times, gunpowder packed into the small containers was used to mimic the sounds of burning bamboo. Explosion bamboo stems the gunpowder. Firecrackers were interchangeably known as bazu or bayogan, which I'm butchering the pronunciations of these, by the way. During the Song Dynasty, people manufactured the first firecrackers, comprising of tubes made from rolled sheets of paper containing gunpowder and a fuse. They also strung these firecrackers together into large clusters known as bine, a whip, or bine pao, whip cannon. So firecrackers could be set off by one in a close sequence, but in the 12th, possibly the 11th century, the term bazang was used specifically to refer to gunpowder firecrackers, first time term in the dream of glorious eastern capital. About 1148 from the Ming Yuanio. All right, so I've been to in my area east of me. There is the a Vietnamese settlement where there's people that came here during the Vietnam War, and that where I am is a very similar weather to their native country. And this place looks like Vietnam. Like a lot of that's why I made the Vietnam little Vietnam film I made, because it was just so similar. And like when you go out that way, it looks like you're in Vietnam. Like it just the way the terrain is and the different Buddhist temples. There's Buddhist temples and stuff out there. It's really fascinating. And they had the Vietnamese New Year festivals, and people will have these firecrackers, and they will go and do their thing. And there's this different firecracker that you could get. It looks like the size of a little white capsule, like a little white thing, and it's made out of paper, and you could throw it on the ground, and it makes a bang noise. It makes a bang. It's a little bang. So the most it has no fuse or anything. You just throw it on the ground and it goes pow. And it's kind of like it's a little explosion it makes. The kind of firecrackers that they're describing here, it's like a chain of red firecrackers. It smells very good. I like the smell of firecrackers, but it smells very good. And they all just go ding 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 ding. It all goes. It's like chain reaction happens, and they all get set off. During the Song Dynasty, common folk could purchase fireworks such as firecrackers from the market vendors. Grand displays of fireworks were also known to be held in 1110, according to the dreams of the glorious Eastern capital. Large firework displays mounted in the military and held to entertain the former emperor. Yeah, people be crazy indeed, absolutely. And we have Toby Walker Wright. Drunk idiots are bad enough. Then with fireworks, anything could happen. Speaking of drunk idiots, did the jury go out to deliberate and valet are coming back on Monday? And judge has finished instructions Monday, longest instructions ever. Oh yeah, Tom and Toby. Today she took a very long time to give the jury instructions. It was like chronicles of information. And Toby says, "That's absurd. Wonder why. I don't remember any other CT trials with ridiculously long instructions. Poor jury." Yeah, quite wild. Mounted military was held to entertain. So these fireworks were put there to entertain Emperor Huzong of Song, 1100 to 1125. In the Kaidong Yiyu states that rocket-propelled fireworks called the Dil Aoshu Earth Rat went off near Empress Dao Ager Yongsheng, startled her during the feast held at her honor by son Emperor Xing Lizong of Song. So this empress was having dinner and the fireworks startled her. Well, to this day it's still startling people. This was in 1224 to 1264. This type of firework was one of the earliest examples of rocket propulsion. Around 1280, a Syrian named Hassan al Rahama wrote of rockets, fireworks, and other incendiaries using terms that suggested he derived his knowledge of the Chinese sources, such as his reference to fireworks as Chinese flowers. This ritual townspeople participate in the Korafok as the culmination fiesta major in the Villanova La Gletru. Now, this is pretty epic. This is a ritual festival of people celebrating, and it looks like an angry mob of people with something burning down. That is quite fascinating. Colored flowers were developed from the early possible Han Dynasty, or soon thereafter. Chinese application of chemical substance to create colored smoke and fire. Such applications appear in the 14th century and of the 1621, printed in 1628, which describes recipes, several of which use low nitrate gunpowder to create military signal smoke with various colors. In the Wubai, the Ming dynasty after 1628, two formulas appeared, the firework like signals. The Suns Hung Giju and the Bai Zhang Hung Gelan. That produces the silver sparks in the smoke. There are several recipes of low nitrate gunpowder and other chemical substances sent the flames in the smoke. These included, for instance, arsenical sulfide for yellow, copper, and acetate for greens, lead carbonate for lilac white, mercuriose chloride for white. The Chinese were described by the French author. The Chinese that did this were described by the French author Caillot. It's certain that the variety of colors which the Chinese have the secret of giving to a flame and the greatest mystery of their fireworks. Similar to the English geographer Sir John Barrow wrote that, quote, the discovery colors indeed which the Chinese have the secret of clothing fire seems to be the chief merit of their protechny. The 18th century illustration of Chinese fireworks from the English abstract account. So this was some from people from at that time were making an abstract concept of the fireworks that they were seeing at the time. Fireworks, so this is like how fireworks are coming to existence. It started in China and it started spreading around the Middle East and different parts of the world. Then it came and all over the world eventually. And how the firework rockets came and things like that. Fireworks were produced in Europe by the 14th century, becoming popular by the 17th century. Lev Ismailov, ambassador of Peter the Great, once reported from China that they make such fireworks that no one in Europe has ever seen it. In 1758, the Jesuit missionary Pere Chiron, living in Beijing, wrote that the methods of combustion of the Chinese fireworks in the Paris Academy of Sciences, which published the accounts of years later, published his revised work, The Spectacles of 1747, originally in 1708, covering the recreational and ceremonial uses of the fireworks rather than their military use. The music of the royal firework was composed of George Frederick Handel in 1749 to celebrate the peace treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, which have been declared by the previous year. A firework display for Muhammad Shah, betrayed, seated, and leaning against the bolster. I do not know who that was, but so this is a historical figure from Middle East somewhere who was watching a firework display. It just became popular everywhere. Well, Toby says AI suggests the immunity charges might have lengthened the instructions that General Connecticut seems to be more explicit instructions. Also, but they are still usually long. We've heard all of sorts of complaining charges. Nothing like this feels unfair to the jurors. I agree, Toby, that it's unfair to the jurors. And now I saw the defendant in the Preppy trial take the stand, and then he did good on some things but not on other things. But usually they don't defend themselves. Usually it's best not to take the stand. So yeah, I think that for the jury needs to be taken into consideration. Like, some judges are very cool with the jury, other judges are very tough on the jury, and I think that it's good when the jury gets consideration about the stuff that they are going through and trying to achieve with, getting a verdict done and they could go home. Or one time there was a judge that wanted the jury to stay there until it was done. The judge was nice, but he was not having it. It was quite funny. Prior to the 19th century and the advent of modern chemistry, the fireworks must have been relatively dull and unexciting. Berthollet of 1786 discovered the oxidizations with oxidants with the correlates of barium, copper, and strontium and sodium result in intense emission of bright colors. The isolation of metallic magnesium and aluminum marked for another breakthrough, and these metals burn with an intense silvery light. Silvery light. Toby says they took a day off to write these instructions, had closings which were most circular babble and not evidence. Okay. And then half of the instructions, then 3 days of loud noise and overreacting. Exactly, Toby. How they should have taken off today and just resumed it Monday. Because it's like you're going to have a jury going to be split up on a couple different days. You have a long jury instruction to begin with. Like, everything you do is going to cause more problems to the people in, the jury. Hopefully it doesn't cause a problem to the jury, but it very well may. Prior to the 19th century and advent of modern chemistry, the fireworks may have been relatively dull and unexciting. Berthelot, a 1786, discovered that antioxidants with potassium chlorate resulted in a violent emission. Subsequent developments revealed that oxidants with correlates of barium, strontium, and copper and sodium resulted in intense emission of bright colors. The isolation of metallic magnesium and aluminum marked another breakthrough, as these metals burn with intense silvery light. There was a Texas judge that made a jury stay until about 11 at night one time. He really forced a verdict. Yep. 1,873 reasons on my list not going to Texas because... yeah, right on, Toby. Yeah, I see what you mean. Toby says, AI says, Tom Farrell, it's like asking them to run a marathon with a marching band blaring in one ear and a funeral cake in the other. AI says, especially with instruction delivered in the installments, like the Courtroom Netflix series coming up in part 4 of substantive law. All right. And Toby, a lot of people were talking about when the Diddy verdict yesterday, and I've been telling people with juries can be unpredictable. Everybody was saying he's going to be guilty, but I'm saying, like, jury's unpredictable. And I was right. Colors of fireworks are usually generated by protechnic compounds. from Protechnic Stars. Hello, G. It is great to see you. I hope everything is going well with you. We're talking about the 4th of July and some history about it, and now what we're talking about is fireworks, where they originate from, who created them, and different things like that. That's what we're doing at the moment. You need a fuel and oxidizer, a compound that combines with fuel to produce intense heat, color producing salts. When the fuel itself is not colorant, a blinder which holds the palette together. Some of the more common color producing compounds are tabulated here. The color of compound in fireworks will be the same as the color in a flame test. Not all compounds will produce a colored flame that appropriate for coloring fireworks. However, ideal colorations will produce pure, intense color. In flame test, not all compounds that produce a colored flame are appropriate for coloring fireworks. However, ideal colorants will produce a pure, intense color when present in moderate concentration. G said, so happy to be here. Thank you. I'm okay. Just got home. Mom's test, and I went to urgent care again. Pink eye. Oh, okay. Pink eye. I've gotten pink eye before. So, a little recap is that the where were fireworks invented? Going like a recap about it. There's still more to cover, but I want to do a recap. Is the earliest fireworks came from China during the Song Dynasty in 960 to 1279. Fireworks used to accompany many festivals in China. Pro technicians were respected for their knowledge of complex techniques in creating fireworks and mounting firework displays. Gee, today in Raul, the jury instructions, the judge was reading them for a very, very, very long time. So it was a long jury instructions, and they were going to do the thing on Monday. But they read a lot of jury instructions today, and it was a lot of papers. A lot of papers. So that's what it was like today. But chat was really cool. But it was kind of cringe with the other factor. With the... And they have to finish the jury instructions on Monday. Yep, that's true. And also we had the 4th of July weekend. That's going to also extend into that. So people are going to have, the fireworks and whatever's going on, and then to go back to that. Yeah, Hamilton was there because she was off work. Shout out to her. It was nice seeing her in chat. It was funny. So yeah, it was a cool chat today. But the jury instructions were ridiculous. It was like long-winded. Toby says, I missed the prosecution's closing, caught most of the defense and rebuttal. It was miserable, inflated, babbling, and the instructions put me to sleep, literally. Well, gee, in my life, I have seen. Let's see. Have you done your own fireworks like big time? Yeah. So I've seen some. I've been with some family people before and seen some fireworks go off in the past, like in person. But I've never really done a big show of fireworks. But what's something to have a hobby of doing when I was little, I love collecting fireworks sticks. And I was like obsessed with it, and I collected fireworks sticks. Like I would love to see a fireworks stick on the ground, or fireworks that were already used. And some things, really big fireworks, I used them as like furniture, for like certain things. So I remember in 2006, we got some, or '08, '07, something like that. It was probably '07. We got some these really big fireworks that are just so big you could put like a thing on top of it and put like a table on it. And with the fireworks, they are extremely, animals and pets don't really like the fireworks, and people that are suffering PTSD and people like, other people that don't like them, but they're very nice to look at. Toby says AI wants to be in our chat. Scared. It also wants me to report back on the trial because I actually watch it and all it can do is collect data after the fact, huh? G said, "Hello, furniture. Good idea. I love seeing them on the ground, but too scared to do it myself." Oh yeah, yeah. It can be very dangerous. There's a police officer that got his hand blown off by doing it. Let's see. The only closing I liked was Silverman's. It was way invested in the Momo trial. Yeah. She was way too invested in the Momo trial. Yeah, you want your fingers intact. I don't blame you. Oh, they do huge ones in New York. Yeah, they do. Okay, New York, it's much bigger than over here, but they do fireworks over here too. They have fireworks shows. And another thing that I've seen with fireworks is that there's something called the Roman candle where you shake it and it just shoots out fireworks. I think Grandpa, one of his relatives, did it. And like there's like oil that goes down your arm, but this is like a firework that was probably from a long time ago. But yeah, it sounded kind of wild. Oh, understood, Remy. Glad that you are enjoying the company. Yeah, another thing that I like about fireworks, there's this one firework I've seen of a tank, and you light it, and it goes forward, and it starts shooting cannons out of the top, not the top, but out of the hole where you would have the cannons at. Now, another thing that I want to share with you, G, is that in east of me there's a Vietnamese settlement. So there's people that came here during the Vietnam War that were escaping uh, the regime that was coming in, and my region is very similar to Vietnam, and it looks like very jungly looking. I've even made like a Vietnam movie, like pretending to go through the jungles one time on my channel. So it's very jungly looking, and over out east, there's a lot of Buddhist temples, and they have like it looks very much like Vietnam over there because it's the type of terrain. Very good Vietnamese food, and they have like this New Year's celebration, not New Year's, but they have this Asian Chinese New Year's celebration, and they'll have the type of fireworks that they had that it was described here, where they have the red. It's like a string of red fireworks, and they all go off and make little noises. And there's other firework that you have that has no light. You don't have to light it at all. There is no fireworks. There is no light at all. It's like this white thing. It's wrapped in this white piece of paper. A little twisty. It looks like a candy. And then it threw it down. You throw it on the ground, and it makes a little explosion. As it requires no lighting, no fire in it, or you just you throw it on the ground and it goes boom. So yeah, I've experienced kind of like a Chinese New Year's stuff, and also I got some interesting artifacts of not artifacts, but interesting decorations and things from them. I remember it doesn't fit me anymore, but I had this hat, this Chinese hat, like uh this Vietnamese hat, and also the umbrella. It's all wooden and these different like a statue of a cat and things like that. So I think it's quite it's just like kind of Asian looking stuff. So it's quite fascinating the culture there. And I've seen this like a shrine that they had. It was from Vietnam and some historical stuff like a museum. So you have like these two candles in front of this altar, part of their religion. And yeah, so the snakes in my region. So in the Vietnamese region, I mean, in my region, there's a lot of snakes. All right, let's see how this goes. See if it returns. It could go out. I don't know. When the lightning... Well, there's a lightning bolt that struck, and it caused the stream to go out completely. So I don't know. It looks like it should be going through. It looks like it is. And I appreciate y'all's patience and y'all staying here. Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me back, chat. Y'all are very patient. I appreciate it very much. And y'all did great, job chatting with each other. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here now. Scared. And let you all know that the power could go out or the stream could go out again. Just because there's a lightning bolt that went and I heard the boom and the stream went out. Completely out. All right. So thank you, G, for the cool story, and thank you, chat, and thank you, Toby, for the insight from AI, and Tom too, your engagement. So yeah, Tom, there's snakes here, but they are. Oh, you heard it. Hey, you heard it. Yeah, there are snakes here, but God willing, God forbid, God willing, I don't get bit by one. But yeah, they have some that are, I don't know if the ones are completely venomous here, but they probably some are, some aren't. There's the snakes are, as I said, God willing, I've been very favored so far. The snakes are not, the snakes are just chill. They're all right. The snakes are just like one time I saw a snake laying down outside and it saw me and it slithered off. Moccasins are venomous, yeah. So yeah, as I said, God willing, it stays that way. Oh no, gee, I did not go near the snake. The snake would just happen to be where I was outside walking and I saw one. I didn't intend to go by it. I'll be coming back. All right, I'm back. I'm back. I'm not back. I'm not back. Coming in and out, but all right. So my elementary school friend and her family collected them in tanks. OMG, I'd from. All right, so basically. Basically, what happened with the situation was I was cutting grass down the street one time at one of my grandparents' rentals that they sold it, but they had it one time. And there's a snake kind of close to me, and he just kind of looked at me and he rattled his tail and slithered off. I felt roasted, but it was better than biting me, but I felt kind of roasted, but it may have been just telling me hello. It told me hello. It just said waved its tail at me and it just floated off. There's also garden snakes. So with the garden snake, they those are harmless, and sometimes we've had to. They're very small, and you put them in like a. One time, my grandma put one in a cup and moved it somewhere else. When I was 12, my camp counselor found a fatally wounded rattlesnake roadkill, so he brought it back and skinned its friend it up. Each camper got a piece, tasted like chicken. Yeah, I heard that it tasted like chicken. I've never tried a snake, but I heard it tastes like chicken. Oh, Tom, I do not hurt snakes. I don't go anywhere near them. I don't want to be bit by them. And there's some. They're kind of big where I am. There's like a big gray snake. Toby said snakes taste like chicken because both are lean and mild meats with little fat and similar muscle fibers, and in neutral flavor and firm texture. And your brain says, "Yup, close enough, poultry." Oh, AI wants to chat with me. Yeah, shout out to AI. I think it's cool to see how our technical advancements are continuing, and I like its insight on things. Yeah, shout out to AI. And yes, same. I've heard of that too, and I agree. I would rather people not kill snakes. When I was okay, I read that, and I heard that it tastes like chicken. And also, G, I was seeing your story you're saying earlier about you dry storm. That was very interesting. Yeah, thank you for the insight, everybody. Oh, it went out again. It went out again. All right, I am back. It went out for a second, but I am back. You're welcome, G. And I have talked to AI before about alien. My grandpa's into the talking to AI, and AI, and yeah. So basically, with AI, they, I've talked to AI about aliens before, and my theories about them, because my grandpa has this thing that's an AI thing, and I've had a conversation with it before. Toby says AI says chickens and snakes both descended from ancient reptiles, so their lean, low-fat muscle structures evolved similarly. That's why your taste buds might confuse the serpent for supper. Now, Toby, we were recently talking about the blue-footed booby as a type of bird, and ask AI if the blue-footed booby's endangered. Thank you. And G says, "Wow, this is one nasty shiot. Moms abandoned them. Most snakes never meet their mothers or in the desert immediately after hatching, being born." Oh, gee, that is terrible. Yeah, some cats are like that. Toby says, "This is me. Some snakes come from eggs and some are live birth. They're not reared by their moms." Okay. Toby says, AI says, "Most baby snakes never meet their moms. They're born ready to slither solo, no cuddles, no lessons, just instinct. A few species linger, briefly, but snakes stay with their mothers for 2 weeks until their first shed. Okay, thank you. All right, Toby says, AI says, the blue-footed booby is not endangered. It's listed as the least concerned species, but some local populations, like in California, Peru, are declining due to habitat loss and overfishing. Thank you, Toby, for the information. Thank you very much. It's going to crackle again. All right. All right. So basically, something else that occurred was so, gee, what I was talking to you before about Vietnam. So you have these very nice Vietnamese like police people that will like kind of patrol the about it's about Mary. It's honored to Mary and Jesus' mother, and so they host it and they sell different knickknacks from Asia. Also, I've gotten from there a Yoshi backpack. I got some Mario toys and just directly from Asia. There's like a thrift market. It's just like being in Asia, and the firecrackers are like from Asia. It's like what we're talking about here, like a whole row of red firecrackers, and you could go and light them all up, and they go and act explosive, little explosions. And then this other firecracker, you throw it to the ground, and it like pops. So, yeah, that is very nice in the Vietnamese area. So it's in the state, but it's like east of me, and I've seen these gigantic Buddhist temples and these statues and stuff. So you have like Buddhism and like Catholicism. So the Vietnamese are Catholic. So it's like there's Vietnamese and Catholic kind of the Buddhist and Catholic stuff mixed together. And like I've eaten very nice Vietnamese food from there. Hmm. All right, so I understand what is going on here. It has to probably do with the connection because of the weather. But thank you, G, for your feedback. You can't hear me. Okay. All right, G, thank you. Okay, Toby, understood. Okay, now you can. Okay. So basically, what happened was with the Vietnamese area. So you have like the like Buddhist temples and the Catholic churches there, and you have the food is very good. So I've eaten squid and a couple of different things there before. I bought my family some sandwiches, and there's alcoholic drinks people could drink if they want to. There's an area for smoking, and people can have like you have the sriracha sauce, like literally like right here. I have sriracha sauce. You know they have this everywhere, all over the Vietnamese restaurants, and you have this constant people at that festival having good parties and stuff. So, and for my birthday 2 years ago, I went to the Vietnamese restaurant and had some French coffee, and so it's very nice. It's a very cool region that I enjoyed. And Tom says, "Oh, okay, G, yes, yes, absolutely, yeah." So it's very cool culture, and also like the wind chimes and stuff like that. So basically, I've seen the type of fireworks that they do that they're talking about in the article that we're referring to, that the ancient Chinese used. I've seen fireworks like that, and I love the different knickknacks that they have from there. Toby said mammals need mom even more than birds need mom. Birds seek out food for their young, but mammals make their food in their own bodies. Yup, that is true. We have natural wet prairie here with some threatened species. Oh, that's very cool. It's not cool that they're being threatened, but it's cool that they have those. And G said, not that it's cool that they're being threatened, of course, but it's cool that you have them to begin with. Oh, there's a lot of animals that are being poached and hunted. Yeah, there's a lot of animals that are being poached and being hunted right now. I remember when I was a kid at the zoo growing up, I used to see there's an exhibit of the zoo. It looked kind of like Africa. It was like this long. It looked like Jurassic Park. It was a very big range of grasslands and like trees and stuff. And there's this part that had some teeth and some tusks, on display, and they show the poaching and things like that, and that a lot of animals are endangered, or some animals went extinct. There's animals right now that have been extinct. So that is very sad that those animals have to go through that, but hopefully the animals could be salvaged and not go extinct. And like for instance, there's the cachalot, which is the sperm whale that is poached in Asia a lot, but for their oil, for their blubber. But over in the West, a lot of countries, not the West, but America has made it illegal. I'm going to say something else funny. Like the book Moby Dick, it's actually a true story. Yeah. It actually happened. It's very great. Like, and the survivors had to go through so much. It was very graphic. And so so the animals, there's a lot of them were endangered, a lot of them, went extinct, but hopefully, as I said, that the blue-footed booby does not have a problem. Toby, you are correct, and it has happened far before we were here. It's happened far before we were here, and you know it's going to happen as we go along. But hopefully, we could do things to try to prevent them from being extinct. But yeah, definitely, it's happened before we even were here, like long before we were here. And Tom says the dodo. Some people don't realize those extinct. Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. And G said humans treat animals like crap. I only heard about dog fighting over now, but chicken fighting, it's crazy. Are people that nuts? Oh, G, there is. And Toby says, I'm going to say what G says first. Yeah, so when I was at the summer camp, when I was little, the it was a it's called the JCC. It was a basically what happens is they had a time where we had an art class where we made these chickens out of sticks and like feathers and stuff, and they would have chicken fights with them, and whoever's one didn't break first would win. So yeah, there's people that do chicken fighting. Yes, they get the chickens together and they start fighting them. And also the dog fights. That's what the pit bulls were bred to do specifically. And I think that is just terrible what they will do to them. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And Toby says AI says at least 100 years. Species like Pinta Island tortoise, Baiji dolphin, western black rhino vanished. Victims of habit loss, hunting human impact on fragile ecosystems. Thank you, Toby, and thank you, AI, for the information. Yeah, because I remember that at the zoos learning about that, and it's really sad when the animals, lose their terrain and stuff. Like in a tree, there's so much in a tree. There is, so much in a tree, like an ecosystem in a tree. Let's go. Yeah, the dodo is extinct. We're gonna go have this session on animals now. I'm scared. It's gonna be all right. We're gonna get this right. Right there. Yeah, the dodo bird. All right, let's see. When did dodo bird get extinct? It was around 1662 and 1690. The Tasman tiger, now extinct. The Thylacine, proud with grace, in Tasmania, shallow embrace with stripes down to the back, flowed no tracks. Now it lingers in memory's place. The dodo, and this is from Google AI. I'm reading this from. The dodo's extinction is attributed to the combination of factors including overhunting by humans, the introduction of invasive species like rats and pigs and macaques, and preyed on dodo eggs. Okay, Toby, thank you. Yeah, so a shout to Dodo Bird. Bro was a wingless bird. I wonder if it was hunted also by people. Dodo Bird. Let's see. I don't know. Tom might be lurking. I don't know if he's still here or not. The dodo once stunned with pride, strutted with pride on an island with nowhere to hide. Man came ashore, it lived no more. Now in books and bones it abides. Thank you. Oh, this is sad right here. Look at this. This is disgusting. They were attacking them. Okay, Toby says the dodo had never been seen by man. Flightless sailors could whack it on the head, take it on board ship for food, wipe them out. Oh. I understand people are trying to eat, but it's unfortunate that they wipe them out. They're from Madagascar. The dodo bird was hunted to extinction primarily by humans, particularly the Dutch sailors who arrived on the Mauritius in the 16th century. While dodo was not particularly tasty, it was easy to catch due to its lack of fear of humans and its flightless nature. The sailors hunted them for food and also introduced invasive species like rats, pigs, and monkeys that preyed on dodo eggs and competed for resources. Habitat destruction due to deforestation and farming further contributed to their demise. All right, let's see the Marutus. Mauritius Island. This is the island that they were on. Wholesale slaughter like baby seals. Oh yeah. All right. Thanks, Remy. Yeah, and you have this, and then they're going in here. You see, those are all the fish that are swimming around. It's really cool fish. It's like Finding Nemo. All right, Toby says AI says Marutulus and Madagascar share deep ties, trading partners, cultural allies, and regional collaborators. Their island bond breeds history, economics, and shared goals in the Indian Ocean. Well done, G. A good job. It's very close. It's like Finding Nemo. Pronounce more ish us. All right, thanks. Oh, it's very close. I always appreciate pronunciations. I don't know how to pronounce everything. I'm lucky I pronounce my own name, so thank you. I appreciate that because I need to know the right pronunciations of things. Right. My name is technically pronounced in many different ways, though. So yeah, my name is pronounced in different ways, but the alien one is kind of like simple, but the other one's kind of a little bit more complicated. And all right, so yeah, it's very close. Yeah, very close. Okay, so G, it's right next to Madagascar. Yeah, G, yeah. More ish us. Okay. Yes, Toby. There's a name. Yeah, there is a story about me and a girl named Gretel that found a house in the forest. Yep, that is true. That is true. And there was a Timu Sheen witch that we thought was a nice older lady that wanted to give us candy, but it wasn't quite what we thought. It's like trusting a house in the middle of the woods was not maybe it was a good idea at first, but it may have not been the greatest idea long run. Yeah, German is a tough language for sure. Yes, absolutely. And G said, "Who wants to go to space?" Astronaut life is interesting. Absolutely. I gotta show you some cool wallpapers then. In that case, and we're still chilling with the island right here. Scared. And you go to my dad worked in aerospace design, worked in the space shuttle, always assumed we go to space, he'd meet astronauts. That's very cool that he did that, by the way. That's very cool. All right, so that's the beautiful island. We're going to take a G2, this island again if she already went to it. And all right, here I am. Hopefully it's coming back in. Hope and also it's going out. Toby, yes, calling it a night. G looks like he's having fun though. We can call him Mr. Happy Thoughts. Oh well. All right. All right. Hopefully it can try to come back and it might go out again.